Ever had one of those songs that just gets you, that takes you back to a specific time, a specific feeling? For a lot of us, 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins is that song. It's not just about nostalgia, it's about that moment in life when everything felt possible but also fragile. The kind of moment you didn't realize was slipping away until it was gone. Today, we're breaking down why these lyrics still hit so hard decades later. Not just as a great song, but as a mirror to that universal experience of growing up, looking back, and figuring out what it all means. Let's dive in. Shakedown 1979 kicks off the song with a nostalgic yet rebellious vibe. The phrase shakedown suggests chaos or upheaval, possibly referencing a turbulent time, either personally for the speaker or culturally, like the late 70s, which was a period of punk rock, social change, and economic instability. 1979 itself is a specific year that might symbolize youth, transition, or a moment frozen in memory. The line, "Cool kids never have the time," hints at the fleeting nature of adolescence, how the cool crowd is always moving, too busy to stop and connect, or maybe too distracted by their own image to care about deeper things. The next line, "On a live wire right up off the street," paints a picture of danger and excitement. A live wire is something electrified, unpredictable, maybe a metaphor for living on the edge, taking risks, or feeling the raw energy of youth. The street setting adds a sense of urban grit, like this moment is happening in the real world, not some polished fantasy. Finally, "You and I should meet" feels like an invitation, or maybe a challenge. It's open-ended, leaving us wondering who you is: a friend, a lover, or even the listener. There's a sense of urgency here, like this connection needs to happen now before time slips away. Overall, this verse captures the restless energy of being young, wanting to break free, find meaning, or just escape the monotony. It's about those moments where everything feels alive and possible, even if just for a second. The imagery is loose enough to let you project your own memories onto it, which is part of why it resonates so deeply. The second verse dives deeper into the carefree, almost dreamlike feeling of youth. Junebug skipping like a stone is a vivid image. Junebugs are those buzzing summer insects, and skipping like a stone suggests something light, effortless, and momentarily airborne. It's a metaphor for the way young people move through life at that age, bouncing from one moment to the next without much weight or worry. There's a playfulness here, but also a sense of impermanence, like the fleeting arc of a stone across water. The next line, "with the headlights pointed at the dawn," adds to the nocturnal road trip vibe of the song. Headlights cutting through the dark while driving toward dawn suggests a night that's been alive with adventure, maybe even recklessness, but also the inevitability of morning coming. Dawn can symbolize both an ending, the night's fun is over, and a new beginning, the promise of another day. It's that liminal space where everything feels infinite even though time is actually running out. Finally, "we were sure we'd never see an end to it all" captures the classic teenage illusion of immortality. That feeling that summer nights, friendships, and freedom will last forever. It's nostalgic because, looking back, you realize how wrong you were, but in the moment, that belief was everything. There's a bittersweetness here because the song is clearly being sung from a place of hindsight. The speaker knows now that it did end, but back then they were lost in the magic of it. This verse really reinforces the theme of youth as something beautiful but temporary, like a perfect night that can't last. The imagery is hazy and warm, like a memory you can't quite grasp but still feel deeply. The chorus shifts from the carefree imagery of the verses to something darker, more existential, but still wrapped in that same nostalgic haze. And I don't even care. To shake these zipper blues is a standout line. Zipper blues is a weird, almost playful phrase, but it suggests a kind of restless, stuck feeling. Maybe it's about the numbness of growing up, the way youthful energy can fade into disconnection or apathy. The zipper could imply something mechanical, like life moving in a repetitive motion, or even something as mundane as the sound of a jacket zipper, tying back to the street level realism of the song. The speaker doesn't care to shake these blues, which could mean they're resigned to them, or maybe they're too lost in the moment to bother. Then comes the real gut punch, and we don't know just where our bones will rest. This is where the song gets heavy. It's a reminder of mortality, but not in a dramatic way. More like a quiet, late night realization that none of us really know where we'll end up. The follow up, "To dust, I guess," is almost shrugging, like the speaker is accepting the inevitability of death, but doesn't have the energy to be dramatic about it. It's not a scream into the void, it's a sigh. The last lines, "forgotten and absorbed into the earth below," drive home the idea of impermanence. No matter how alive and invisible youth feels, everything fades. The imagery of being absorbed into the earth is natural but also kind of bleak, like we're just part of a cycle, not heroes in some grand story. Yet, there's something peaceful about it too. It's not angry or scared, it's just true. What makes this score so powerful is how it contrasts with the verses. The verses are all about motion, skipping like stones, driving toward dawn. But the chorus is about stillness, about the end of motion. It's like the song captures both the thrill of being young and the quiet dread, or acceptance, of knowing it won't last. The carefree days of 1979 are already gone, and the speaker is looking back with a mix of fondness and melancholy, aware that even this memory will one day fade. The third verse takes a slightly darker, more surreal turn while still keeping that hazy, dreamlike quality of the song. "Double cross the vacant and the bored" feels like a rebellion against apathy. The vacant and the bored could represent people who've checked out, maybe adults or society at large, who don't get the restless energy of youth. To double-cross them suggests a kind of betrayal or defiance, like the speaker and their friends are operating outside the rules, living in a way that the disengaged don't understand. There's an us versus them tension here, but it's vague enough that it could just be the natural divide between young people chasing excitement and everyone else who's given up on it. They're not sure just what we have in store, continues that idea of mystery and unpredictability. The older or disconnected crowd can't anticipate what the younger generation will do. Maybe because youth itself is chaotic, or because the speaker's group is deliberately keeping things uncertain. It's that classic feeling of being young and feeling like you're on the edge of something wild while the rest of the world just watches, confused. The last line, "Morphin City, sleeping Jews down to sea," is the most abstract and open to interpretation. Morphin City could imply a place that's numb, sedated, or even addictive, like a town that dulls pain but also keeps people stuck. Slip dues might mean avoiding responsibilities or consequences, sliding by without paying the price. And down to sea could suggest being present for whatever's coming, even if it's hazy or unclear. Put together, it paints a picture of a generation moving through a world that's half dream, half reality, where rules don't quite apply and the future is both thrilling and uncertain. This verse feels like the moment in the night when things get weirder, when the adrenaline of youth starts mixing with something darker or more introspective. It's not quite cynical, but there's an awareness that the freedom they're chasing might come with a cost, even if they're not ready to face it yet. The imagery is slippery, just like the feeling it describes, hard to pin down, but full of mood and meaning. This second chorus deepens the song's themes of youthful apathy and existential weight, but with even sharper imagery. That we don't even care, as restless as we are, captures the contradiction of being full of energy yet emotionally detached. There's a sense of rebellion here, but not the fiery kind. More like a shrug, a refusal to engage with expectations or consequences. The restlessness suggests a desire to move, to escape, but the indifference implies that even that movement might not lead anywhere meaningful. It's the kind of aimless drifting that defines a certain kind of adolescence where you're running from boredom but not necessarily toward anything. The line, "we feel the pull," is intriguing because it's vague yet visceral. A pull could be temptation, nostalgia, or just the gravity of growing up, something drawing you in whether you wanted to or not. It's a quiet acknowledgement that, despite the carefree attitude, there are forces at work, time, society, guilt, that can't be fully ignored. Then comes the knockout phrase, "in the land of a thousand guilts and poured cement." This is where the song gets heavy, both literally and metaphorically. Land of a thousand guilts feels like a world weighed down by regret, expectations, or societal pressure. Maybe the adult world creeping in, or just the internalized voices that come with maturity. Poured cement is a brutal contrast to the earlier images of skipping stones and headlights. It's permanent, cold, and unyielding. Cement could symbolize the structures of society hardening around you, or the way youthful freedom eventually solidifies into routine and responsibility. It's the opposite of the fleeting, weightless feeling of the verses. This is something that sets and stays. Together, these lines paint a picture of youth caught between freedom and inevitability. The carefree days are still happening, but the chorus hints at the cracks forming beneath the surface. There's a tension between the desire to stay restless and the knowledge that, eventually, the cement will dry. It's not hopeless, but it's not entirely free either. Just honest about that moment when you start to feel the weight of the world, even if you are not ready to fully admit it yet. The bridge serves as both a climax and a moment of reflection, blending the song's themes of nostalgia, speed, and the passage of time into a few vivid lines. Lamented and assured is a striking contradiction. It suggests sadness, lamented, but also certainty, assured. This duality captures the mixed emotions of looking back on youth. There's grief for what's been lost, but also a quiet acceptance that it had to happen this way. It's as if the speaker is mourning the past while also recognizing its inevitability, a bittersweet resignation that comes with maturity. The next line, "to the lights and towns below," evokes an aerial perspective. like looking down from a great height at the world you once inhabited. Those lights and towns could symbolize the places and moments that felt so important in youth, now distant and small. There's a sense of detachment here, as if the speaker is hovering above their own memories, watching them recede. It's a metaphor for how time changes your relationship to the past. What once felt all consuming now seems faint and far away. Faster than the speed of sound, faster than we thought we'd go, ramps up the energy, emphasizing how quickly life moves when you're young. The speed of sound is a visceral metaphor. It's not just fast, it's unseen, something you feel more than you comprehend. This line captures the exhilarating, almost disorienting rush of adolescence, where everything happens in a blur and you're constantly surprised by how quickly things change. The phrase, faster than we thought we'd go, adds a layer of unintended consequence, as if the speaker and their peers stumbled into adulthood without meaning to, carried by momentum rather than choice. Finally, beneath the sound of hope ends the bridge on a haunting note. The sound of hope could represent the optimism of youth, the belief that anything is possible. But to be beneath it suggests that hope is now distant or muffled, something you can hear but no longer reach. It's a subtle shift from the earlier verses where hope felt immediate and tangible. Now, it's just an echo, a reminder of what once was. The bridge ties together the song's central conflict, the tension between the freedom of youth and the inevitability of time. It's a moment of acceleration and descent all at once, moving too fast to hold on, but also falling away from what once mattered. The imagery is fleeting yet heavy, like a dream you're trying to grasp as it slips through your fingers. It's the emotional core of the song, where the weight of growing up finally catches up to the rush of being young. This fourth verse introduces us to Justin, a character who embodies the rebellious, outsider spirit at the heart of 1979. When the lyrics say, Justin never knew the rules, it's not that she was ignorant, it's that she rejected them entirely. She operates outside society's expectations, living by her own code. This makes her a symbol of authenticity in a world that often demands conformity. The line, hung down with the freaks and ghouls, reinforces her outsider status. She's not with the cool kids from verse 1, but with the misfits, the ones who don't fit neatly into any category. Ghouls adds a slightly darker, maybe even supernatural edge, suggesting these aren't just rebels, but people who exist on the fringes in a way that's almost mythical. No apologies ever need be made is a defiant statement of self-acceptance. Justin doesn't explain herself or seek approval. She just is. This contrasts with the earlier themes of restless uncertainty in the song. Justin, in her refusal to conform, represents a kind of freedom the speaker might admire or even envy. She's unapologetically herself, something that feels increasingly rare as the song explores the pressures of growing up. The last line, I know you better than you fake it to see, is a bit cryptic but feels deeply personal. It could be the speaker speaking to Justin, calling out her act or lack thereof, suggesting that even rebels have their defenses. Or it could be directed at the listener or even the speaker themselves, a moment of raw honesty cutting through the facade people put up. The phrase to see at the end is almost like a challenge. You think you're hiding, but I see through you. It ties back to the song's broader theme of authenticity versus performance and how youth is this fleeting time when you're both desperately trying to figure out who you are and desperately trying to pretend you've already got it all figured out. This verse stands out because it's the first time the song zooms in on a specific person, making the nostalgia feel more intimate. Justin represents a kind of ideal, someone untouched by the compromises of adulthood, living fully in her truth. But there's also a sadness in knowing that even figures like her eventually get swallowed by time, memory, or the poured cement of the world. She's a fleeting symbol of rebellion in a song that's all about how nothing lasts. The outro serves as a haunting final snapshot, distilling the song's themes of fleeting youth and isolation into just two loaded lines. The street heats the urgency of now, captures that suffocating electric tension of adolescence. The way every moment feels amplified when you're young, like the pavement itself is radiating your restless energy. The street ties back to the song's recurring imagery of urban liminal spaces, headlights, live wires, poured cement, grounding this existential journey in a physical world. That word, heat, is especially visceral. It suggests pressure building, time running out, the friction of being alive in a moment that can't last. The urgency of now feels almost desperate, like the characters in the song are trying to outrun time itself before adulthood catches up. Then comes the devastating simplicity of, as you see, there's no one around. On one level, it's literal. Maybe the speaker is alone on that heated street, realizing their companions have faded away with time. But it also works metaphorically. That crushing feeling of looking back on your youth and realizing how alone you are in remembering it. The people you shared those nights with are gone, physically or emotionally, and the world has moved on. The emptiness echoes earlier lines about being forgotten and absorbed into the earth. But here, it's more immediate, not some distant fate, but a quiet, personal loneliness in the present. Together, these lines form a perfect, melancholy bookend to the song. The urgency of now from the first half of the outro clashes painfully with the no one around realization in the second half. It's that brutal transition from feeling invincible in a crowd to facing adulthood's solitude. The street, once buzzing with possibility, remember you and I should meet from verse 1, is now just hot pavement and echoes. It's not angry or dramatic, just achingly resigned. The sound of someone waking up from the dream of youth to find themselves utterly, unmistakably alone with their memories.